two Minnesota beer activists hanging out with Jon from Lucid Brewing. We've got a couple things to talk about today. You guys recently had a big-time visitor here at the brewery.
Yeah.
Eric Paulson.
Eric Paulson, he's the Republican representative for the 3rd District of Minnesota, House representative. Really nice guy. He lives right down the street, so very fortunate to have him pop in and say hi and drink a beer with us. Lots of fun.
You guys were talking about some legislation, right?
Yeah, so Paulson was one of the co-authors on, it's called HR 494. It's called the Small BREW Act, and the goal of it is it's a jobs-creating tax reduction bill. And the goal being reduce taxes on small brewers, the federal excise tax, so that the money can be reinvested into the growing boom that's happening with small breweries.
That's kind of exactly the opposite of what was going on locally in Minnesota last session.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting that the federal government is looking at creating jobs, and the local government was looking at cashing in. I don't know if that's the delicate way to put it, but
it's about right. The nice thing about the federal bill, it's 50-50 Republican Democrats supporting it. They had 170 something co-sponsors on it. So like from the federal sense, everybody is, or most congressmen are in agreement that reducing the federal beer excise tax makes sense for this industry.
What are the con arguments? What are the folks that are not supporting it? Is there any sensible argument?
There's not a lot of opposition to it based on our conversations with Paulson and the Brewers Association. There's not a big push to get it done because the reduction in federal budget makes everybody grumpy.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it's not on an annual basis. It's a real small amount, so it's not like a hot topic issue where it's drawing a lot of press or media or anything. They just their thought is maybe it'll get passed if it gets tied into a complete tax revision. So there's not being a lot pushed on it right now. No one's really pushing against it either. So it's been slowly building support for the last year, and we figured it would be a good time to talk about it again because Congress is back in session and the House is back, and just if we can, as a small brewery, reach out to our representatives, maybe we can actually get something done.
Nice. So if people want to support the job creation and the tax reduction and excise, what can they do as consumers to help out with that?
You could go onto our website, lucidbrewing.com, or we have a link to the issue of the HR 494 bill. There's also a lot of information on the Brewers Association website. They have a whole section dedicated to the excise tax. There'll be links there to find your representatives, some pre-generated letters. All you gotta do is type your name in, it'll email them out.
Cool. Yeah, I think we'll put some links on our website as well at minnesotabeeractivist.com.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, no reason why people shouldn't be aware of what's going on. We typically tend to look at things at more of the local level, but I think that makes sense, for the brewing industry. I don't see why people shouldn't get behind it.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. The question before I rambled on, sorry, I'm really tired. Was what's holding it back? And the nice thing is there is no real big pushback yet. Definitely the smaller brewers benefit more than Bud Miller Coors will. So they haven't really voiced a negative opinion to it because they know that it's good for the industry as a whole.
Do they have? I think I read somewhere. Do they have their own legislation that they're trying to push? That's
yeah, and I'm not too aware of the details on that. I know across the board, everyone would like a reduction in the tax, but definitely on the small end, it's getting a lot of support. So makes sense to us.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I mean, I think virtually every large macro brew is owned by a foreign entity. Is that? I mean, Miller is South African, right?
Yeah.
I think
InBev
is yeah, yep. And
Coors
is part of Miller. Now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they probably have some foreign excise taxes they're working on too.
Probably. Cool.
Yeah, so definitely reach out to your representatives. That would go great. Our goal is just kind of start the conversation again. And
sure. Yeah, I haven't heard anybody talk about it locally at all.
no, we hadn't really either, and I don't know why. The impact to us would allow us this year. We would have had one extra employee if this reduction went through, and then as you grow, it grows with you. So it's the tax right now. Federally, we pay. Is it Eric? Is it $7.50 on a barrel? $7 on a barrel. So the goal being to reduce that in half, up to 60,000 barrels of production. So 60,000 barrels times $3. It's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And I talked with the guys at through email with some people at Left Hand, and I got their information about the impact it would have to them, and they were saying something like would allow them to install and run a 480 barrel tank, which generates $2.5 million a year, which
you need somebody to operate.
Which
that tank.
takes 10 people.
Yeah.
So it's a significant amount of labor, and I think that's what the goal of the bill is to do. Like, if you've been to our brewery or any of the local breweries, there's a lot of guys working really hard to make beer happen.
You might be able to hear him right now bottling.
Clicking away. We got these right off the line. But it's definitely not an industry where anyone's getting like rich quick. It's about a lot of hard work.
Well, it's really cash intensive to start and operate a brewery.
It's a lot of stainless steel, that's for sure. And just the bottling line, there's 4 guys out there right now, and they'll be working all day long, and they've been working all week. And if we wanted to ramp up our bottling production, we'd either have to add shifts or invest hundreds of $1,000s in better equipment. So either way, it's really expensive to do.
Yeah, well, I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're trading excise tax for payroll tax, for goods and services going back to the community, for the taxes they'll put back in buying health care if you have to hire another employee.
Yep.
I mean, there's that excise tax is going to be cut, but the money generated by that employee is going to go back into the economy. So
right. Yeah. It's right.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. It does. If you're in the business of hiring people, then making it easier to hire people is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's another benefit is going to be, we talked about starting a brewery being a very cash intensive project. If you've got more headroom to begin with, it's going to make it easier for entrepreneurs to start a brewery.
Right. So wouldn't that be nice? More breweries in Minnesota.
There you go.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. We need some over in St. Paul.
Oh, there's a bunch going to happen over there pretty soon.
Yeah. There's some exciting stuff happening with Burning Brothers and Tin Whiskers and some other stuff. So
and like with those guys just starting up, I'm sure they would like that.
Absolutely.
Right off the bat, it would be great.
Yeah.
We were just chatting before we started filming here about the one interesting comment we got was, hey, everybody wants a reduction in taxes, right? Well, the interesting thing about what an excise tax is versus like a sales tax, it's kind of like in addition. So it's put on to the manufacturer, and that basically gets passed to the consumer.
Right.
It's kind of the way it works. So
yep.
Consumers don't pay excise taxes except in their prices are higher. So yeah, I would like to reduce everybody's taxes, but this one kind of makes sense to the consumer because it allows for lower costs, higher production rates, and that kind of stuff.
Well, that was kind of one of the talking points last session when we were looking locally at increasing the excise tax by an insane amount.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, but a lot of people don't realize that you've got the market set up into a 3-tier system where you've got the cost of the product at the very top tier. It gets passed down to the middle tier that takes a slice of the pie,
Yep.
and then down to the retailer, and they take a slice of the pie. So by the time the product that costs $3 to produce gets down to the consumer, everybody builds their profit into it. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it goes exactly the opposite. If you're cutting those taxes, the product becomes cheaper to make. You make more
Right.
of it. And,
Yeah, it's not like
benefits.
me as an owner of Lucid make more money. You know, like that's not how it
Coming
works.
straight off the bottom line.
Yeah. Sweet, that's how we're gonna get rich.
I just got a $60,000 raise.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm gonna bring up some other stuff that is happening locally, and now I can't think of what was going on.
Yeah. Do you have any updates on if they're gonna push through trying to get that local excise tax done again?
I don't know. Hopefully not. I mean, the budget has been balanced.
Yeah.
So I don't really see the need for it. Whether that's going to happen or not is kind of remains to be seen. But I think it'd be good if it stays right where it's at. The increase that we're talking about would have put us at the very highest bracket in the nation, which that's going to kill the local brewing economy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
if you look in other places across the nation, Denver, you got South Carolina, they're doing things to make it an inviting environment to bring brewers into the community and build their facilities there, and we're talking about doing the exact opposite here in Minnesota. So I mean, I hopefully we've gotten past the excise tax issue here locally, but you never know.
One interesting thing that Paulson brought up with us was about education with representatives. You look at your local and regional government, and it's made up a real diverse crowd.
Sure.
Teachers, doctors, business store owners. He brought up, you'd be surprised how many congressmen have never been into a brewery. Well, just in general, how many people haven't been into a brewery?
Sure.
There's a lot. Unless you're in tune with the local beer scene, you may never have been on a brewery tour.
Why would you?
Right. If you don't care, then you don't care.
Yeah.
And he said it was it's a surprising number of people that haven't done that, and so getting people engaged and educating them about the industry is really important from local breweries. Just reaching out and saying, hey, representative, there's a local brewery in my town, and I hang out there on Thursday night, and I know all the guys who bottle. They're really nice guys. You should keep them employed by reducing taxes, or make it so they can have better benefits and stuff like that.
At least a friendly environment to grow the business, right?
Right, and it's I think I'm not really sure what the deal with the state was, why they thought that was a good idea, but
I think the rationale that we heard, and I think a lot of it stems from what you're talking about education, was a 7-cent increase per pint or whatever was the number that they threw out there, without understanding how the system works and the margins get increased as it moves down the line to consumers. I think if you asked the average consumer, would they pay 7 cents more for a pint of beer? I think you'd hear
right.
But I mean that doesn't equate to real numbers.
No, it doesn't. And back to the education thing, it's that, and it's like, what does it take to make a pint of beer? I wish we could compete with Bud Miller Coors on a price point, but there's no way. I mean, the labor is tenfold, to get the same amount of liquid out. So it's until you've gone on a tour of a brewery, which everybody should do, and seeing how much labor goes into it and how much stainless steel it takes, you just wouldn't get it. So
When are you guys open for tours?
Friday, 5:30. You can register on our website. We're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for growler sales too, and usually something's happening, so you'll see it.
Cool.
We're always moving.
Yeah, swing by for a tour of Lucid Brewing. Check the website.
Please do. We're working right now with the city to get the ordinance in place to do a tap room eventually. So that's kind of our next hurdle, and when that happens, we'll be open more.
Nice, nice. Yeah, one of the other issues that we heard from on the local excise tax, one of the talking points was that it hadn't been done in a while. And I was like, that one kind of baffled me. It's like, so it's been 10 years since you increased the tax.
So now's a good time.
So now's a good time.
And the industry is booming right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, goes along with what you're talking about with education.
Yeah.
I think they see that there's a boom and, an opportunity for revenue. Not that beer and brewing shouldn't contribute to Minnesota in that way, but just the rationale that it's been a while, so now it's time. I don't know if that's the right tack to take.
No, I don't think so. That's not really relevant.
You might be a little biased.
Yeah, I'm a little biased. No, I'm a consumer, and I'm a taxpayer, and I like paying taxes because it pays for roads and public services. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think it's just interesting with the excise taxes that happen on beer. It's you're kind of singling out an industry. For what reason? Like we're growing.
Because it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Thanks for sitting down and talking with us today. Definitely, if you guys are concerned about the issue of excise taxes at the federal level and at the local level, we've got some stuff from last session on MinnesotaBeerActivist.com, and then check out LucidBrewing.com. There's some links there and to the Brewers Association where you can find out how the legislation will affect the brewing community and the people that enjoy it. So.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Just if you can talk amongst yourselves about what taxes do to things, that would be great. Do it over a couple of beers. You might lean my way.
Couple of Lucid beers.
Well, cheers.
Cheers, man.